You see, Harold, I feel that much of the world's sorrow comes from people who are this, yet allow themselves to be treated as that.
Well, I think it's fine building jumbo planes.
Yeah, it's a mysterious thing about how music is so powerful. I believe it's something to do with kind of the longing that human beings have for unification with something higher and more harmonious than their existence and their mundane lives. And wanting to grasp that somehow becomes possible through the vehicle of music.
But tell me, where do the children play?
Growing up in the West End of London, you know, obviously affected me by having so much, you know, theatre and musicals and coffee bars with jukeboxes blaring out. I mean, that was like, music was the background to my life. And at first I wanted to be an artist, so I used to spend hours and hours painting, but I'd always have like a record playing. It used to be my sister's collection. A bit of Frank Sinatra, a little bit of Tchaikovsky. And then, of course, the Beatles came along, and the whole powerful, you know, explosion of self-expression and liberation, in a way, for my generation began, and I wanted to be with it. I picked up, if you like, the folk sort of style in the beginning because, you know, it was so simple. I didn't need a band, I didn't need drums or anything like that, just me and the guitar. My whole ambition really was to express myself now in words and music, and it was just natural. I just didn't think twice. But learning music was frightening to me because it might stop the flow of creativity. And I didn't want to be held down by technical issues. You know, I wanted to just write with flow. I kind of learned things myself, you know, and I'd kind of work out the chords to something, and then when I couldn't learn, I would say, forget it, I'll write my own song. You know, that's why I never sang anybody else's songs, because I thought, you know, I never made any mistakes that way. I was always, you know, painting pictures and telling stories with my songs, and so it was kind of natural that I wanted my songs a lot of the time to be seen as well. And originally I wanted, you know, to write a musical, writing about the Russian Revolution. You know, it was the story of Nicholas and Alexander. And so I always used to be driving back across my manager, you know, to try and get my musical on stage. But then films were the next thing. So he came to me one day with the script about Harold and Maude, you know, and I thought, well, yeah, that's a good idea, because films, you know, great extension. So and I started reading this script, and I was bowled over by the humour of this. It was so dark, and was very similar to my kind of humour. And he said that this director, you know, was interested in some of our music. So he seemed to be living with these two albums, you know, Mona Moonjacken and Tea for the Tillerman. And I think when he made the film, looking at the rushes, he never stopped playing my records at the time. You know, he kept on putting on my records while he was watching the film. And so it became a kind of indelible part of the vision that he saw.
So long ago, the seconds tick the time out. There's so much left to know, and I'm on the road to find out.
I think my music had a particular leaning towards the kind of whole subject of the film, which was to do, in a way, with, you know, faking one's death, you know, or you know, playing with the idea of death, the whole idea that you're going to, you know, leave this planet. And so there are threads of similarity in just the approach which, you know, Harold had towards life, which was, you know, to get as close as possible to the edge, to find out something, you know, that he didn't know. But I was a little bit cautious. I said, but hang on, this is a comedy, and my music is quite serious, you know. I take it quite seriously. So the juxtaposing of songs, you know, in film, it's kind of dangerous business, because as a writer, you know, you've got your own vision, and along comes a director who kind of sees it in this other way. And I wasn't certain if we were going to do this or we were going to say yes. So he really wanted to convince me, Hal wanted to convince me that this was the right thing. So he invited me to San Francisco, where they were filming it and watching the rushes. And then, you know, we were sitting in there as he was puffing on his little whatever it was. And saying, look at this. And then, you know, there was, I think it was Miles from Nowhere and The Hearse, you know, and I went, oh, that's good.
But I won't need it when I reach the end. Miles from nowhere.
There's that great moment where it doesn't describe what's going on. And it shouldn't in some way, but there's a spirit, there's a meaning, there's something so subtle about the core of that song, which hits that string and that C. It tells you everything about it. And when there's that striking moment of creativity where, you know, when two talents come together, the visionary of the director and the music, and of course the artists and the actors themselves. But when that happens really perfectly, then it's memorable, you know.
And if you want to be high, be high. If you want to be low, be low. 'Cause there's a million ways to go, you know that there are. And if you want to be me, be me. If you want to be you, be you. 'Cause there's a million things to do, you know that there are.